Hanlik, without the next speaker, Mr. Chen Yitong, we cannot have this training today. So let's have Mr. Chen Yitong, the president of Hanlik Group, which is the parent company of the Hanlik cross-border platform, to give us a remark. Thank you.
Dear the Young Wang, Deputy Director General, Pei Wu, Commercial Consulate, Fujian Chen, Deputy Director General, Jin Lan, President, dear Silent Kim, Jackson, Zax Paulson, good evening and good morning all. With the recommendation of the Ministry of Commerce, it's my great honor to represent the cross-border e-commerce platform to introduce two small and medium-sized brands in Oregon. This is about how to enter the Chinese market through cross-border e-commerce and open a new channel of cross-border e-commerce. Hanlik Global is a cross-border e-commerce import platform invested by Hanlik Group. With 20 years experience in international logistics, customs declaration, supply chain, and brand operation management. Also, this many years e-commerce development, Hanlik Global connects global brands to enter China market in a mode of cross-border e-commerce online channel operation. We have learned that the quality of many agricultural products and consumer goods in Oregon is well known in the world. I sincerely hope that this trading will interest many merchants in Oregon and open more and more cross-border e-commerce markets in China through our cooperation with Hanlik Global cross-border e-commerce platform. Next, more details will given by Mr. Rand, partner of Hanlik Global platform, introduce the cross-border e-commerce platform of Hanlik Global. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen, and please, Mr. Renee, and give us the full training. Thank you.
Good evening to you all in Oregon. Good morning to you all in China. It's my great pleasure to give some introduction about e-commerce in China. I live now in China for 5 years, and I visit China already for 15 years. And every time I'm surprised to see how fast developments are. And when we talk about e-commerce, that is really one of the areas where developments go very fast. That's why it's very important to understand a little bit about e-commerce in China. And I hope with the introduction that I'm going to give and that we made together with General Manager Pami, it's also good to introduce him. He's responsible for the daily operations of the e-commerce business. I hope to give you some small introduction, and it's just a little bit of information. There's much more to say, but the time is too limited to say. So I will pick out the most important parts of it, and I hope that will keep you listening to the story that I have to tell. A few things about myself, a few short things about myself. I live now in China for 5 years, as I mentioned. I started my own business in 2018 in China. And I will give you a short. I started my own business in China, the company Ferrea, and the basic idea was similar to what we are discussing now, is to create a bridge between, in that case, Europe and China. Make it more easy for European companies to bring their products to China. We do that with food products, non-food products. And we created a cooperation, a joint venture with Hanlik to do that together. Because when you are connected to both sides of the world, it makes it more easy to realize the targets that you have to realize. We do that for food and non-food. We also do that, for example, for biscuits, for cheese products, very agricultural products, very successful products in a growing market in China. Very important to know is that if you want to do business e-commerce in China, two things are important. How are you going to organize it, and with whom are you going to organize it? You easily can get lost in the total forest of e-commerce, because there are so many companies, so many parties, all with different ideas, different approaches. But it's the challenge to find the right way. E-commerce in China is not just for large brands. It's also for smaller, middle-sized brands. And I believe personally at this moment that especially the smaller brands, middle-sized brands have large opportunities in China, because there are already many products. But now it's the challenge to find really products that add something to the Chinese market, that match the Chinese taste, that match the Chinese ideas about products. So it's very important to make the right combination. And what I see now, what we also do, is with smaller, medium-sized brands, there will be a lot of opportunities in the Chinese market. Okay, that is enough about introduction from my side. I will go to the content of the presentation. Therefore, thank you. I made a few parts in the presentation. First, I want to explain something about the company, Hanlik. Then I want to introduce something about the cross-border e-commerce services. Then say something about being an international service provider, how that works. As fourth, how to find the channels where the brands are going to. These are just a few topics that we think match the best with the questions there might be and the ideas there might be from the US. Hanlik is a company with headquarters in Xiamen. Xiamen is in the southeast of China. I like to live here. It's a very good province, Fujian, to do business. But from here, and it was mentioned before, you have a very good access to other markets in China, because the province of Fujian is very open in international business, and especially in e-commerce business. Many facilities have been created here that makes it possible to do more easy business. Hanlik started 20 years ago as a group focused on logistics. But as you see with many companies who follow the market, Hanlik developed to a company that provides the whole supply chain, that delivers service and that delivers a platform for e-commerce. Because logistics, e-commerce are two items very close connected to each other. And that's why Hanlik developed in this way. And at this moment, what Hanlik tries to do is make the seemingly complicated market of cross-border more open, more accessible for companies. We try to make the connection between the companies in Oregon and the consumers, but especially also the companies here in China, to bring the products here, to find the right channels here. And therefore, we have several tools available, and I will explain a little bit more about that later. But in fact, two tools are most important. That is, first of all, the e-commerce platforms. What we provide as Hanlik is, in fact, a global commodity display and trading platform in Fujian. A place where companies can show their products. A place where companies can bring their products to China. Therefore, you need certain tools. For example, you need warehouses. You need the places where the goods enter the country. And therefore, Hanlik has several warehouses by itself and also cooperations with others. And I mentioned a few in this presentation. Besides the warehouses in Xiamen, we also cooperate with like Sichuan, like Hong Kong, Macau area, because all those areas are important as a connection to bring goods to China. Second of all, with the system that we have, we can connect to more than 100 online retail platforms. It's very important that you have the connection with all the retail platforms that in fact bring the goods directly to the consumer. And therefore, we have the facilities to, with our systems, to make that connection with many of the platforms, many of the most important platforms. And I will come back to that part later. We focus on a few areas, and those areas are in fact quite wide, but beauty, makeup, skincare, that is a very popular topic here in China. All kinds of products you can find here from all kinds of places over the world, but it still keeps on growing, that part. Maternal and infant supplies, products for children, healthy food, all kinds of healthy food. And let's say what we call quality of life, products that one way or the other have to do with improving the quality of life. I think China is not unique, but what we see here is that people are looking how we can make our life more comfortable. What type of products can match with that? How can we make our life more healthy? What kind of food products match with that? And I noticed by myself, and I can compare a little bit with the European market, that there is a lot of focus on at this moment. People are also interested. If they buy food, what is the quality? What are the ingredients? People want to know about the products. That means we have to educate about the products that are coming in. It's not just bring in a product and sell it. It's more than that. We have to educate, we have to train, but also about that part, I will explain a little bit more. We see ourselves, besides as a platform, as a global goods store. A global goods store in which we, and then I use some technical terms, perhaps people are familiar with that, but in which we connect S to B to C. And that means that we use a powerful data-driven supply chain platform to connect with other businesses that serve the consumers. So we try to find the businesses that really sell to the consumers. And therefore you need to have certain tools, a certain platform to make that possible. In this way, it is possible with this kind of tools for distributors who are not so familiar with the buyers here in China to understand quite easily what the possibilities are, to get professional training and to become a professional supplier for the goods here in China. So we not only serve the tools, but we also want to serve the knowledge so that people, suppliers, understand what needs to be done to bring a product to China. Because I think many people in general, but also in business, know that if you want to do business, you need to understand the market very well where you're operating in. That's the basic thing for doing business in another place. The advantage of this way of working is, for example, that if it's about service, you bring in a good, but there's also service necessary, or there's explanation necessary, that all can be arranged in this kind of cooperations. So it's a whole line of activities that we deliver, not only the tools, not only the logistics, not only the warehouse, but also the service that is necessary, the explanation of the goods that is necessary. The whole package can be delivered in this way. And in fact, that's also very important, the whole financial arrangement of the products. Once you deliver a product, once you sell it, also the money must come in. Well, that whole chain of activities, that is covered by what we do. So bringing in the products, giving the explanations, make sure in the end that the money is paid, because in the end, that's a very important part also of doing business. To make this possible, Hanlik uses several companies within the group. And Hanlik is a group of companies, and they all have a different role in the group. And it's not because we want to have a lot of companies, but it's because they have a function in this whole corporation. And it's, as you can see in this schedule, I will not walk through all the companies, but as you can see in the second one, the Xiamen Yulike Electronic Commerce Company, that started already in 2015. That means that Hanlian is already working on this kind of products for many years and build up a lot of experience and knows what to do and also what you should not do. So there is already a lot of basis over the years built up in the companies, and that is also the reason why there are many companies necessary to make this possible. On the right side in the presentation, you also can see a bonded warehouse enterprise. We have available in a city close by in Zhangzhou a cross-border warehouse. I will show some pictures on later, where all the products that come in for cross-border sales will be handled. So all those kind of elements is necessary. So we combine that in our business. Not only in let's say the mainland, but also with Hong Kong. You see on the left side and in the middle the Hong Kong joint venture. On the right side you see a Macau joint venture. We believe that to make all those changes possible and find the right products, bring them to the right place, it is necessary to have certain arms in different places to bring in the right goods. And that's why we created this model. This also shows that this is a model that takes a lot of effort to build up. It's not something you do overnight. It takes time to build up such a business. Well, this is just an overview. We didn't translate the Chinese names for the English-speaking people into English, but this gives an overview of the several companies that are connected to make this whole chain possible. So, then what is necessary when we talk about the e-commerce services? Well, first of all, and then I refer to A, we need to have an e-commerce platform. A platform, and what is a platform? A platform is in fact a place where we show ourselves, to the buyers. It's our face to the market, where we bring everything together. We need cross-border logistics. I will not go into all the details, but you have different kinds of ways of bringing goods into a country. The cross-border system is one of the ways, but therefore you need transportation. Well, we handle sea freight, air freight, but also transportation by rail is possible. All kinds, because that is in fact our basic business from many years ago where we started. So that is the core where we started. We also need to do the cross-border clearance. When a good comes in, the product comes in, it has to be handled. The customs clearance has to be handled in a good way. We provide those services, and as you can see, not only in Xiamen, but also in other places mentioned here, also, for example, Hangzhou, a very fast developing city in China. What is also necessary is warehousing and distribution. I mentioned before something about the warehouses we have available. We have it in many places available, and if we don't have it by ourselves, we have a cooperation with others to make sure that there is a very fluid way of bringing the goods into the country. We need cross-border internet technology, and that is probably one of the most at least I must say from my experience, that was for me one of the most complicated parts, because when I compare that with my European experience when I came in, and I see now how it's going here, then all kinds of e-commerce tools, all kinds of internet tools are used to promote, to sell, to connect the products. And that development in China has gone so fast, even in the 5 years I'm here. There are many, many opportunities in selling the products, in promoting the products. And you see a few things mentioned here. WeChat is one of the things that is mentioned here, but that is just one of the programs that is used, that is one of the tools that is used. But there are many, many tools. And for us, it's very important that we understand the tools and that we have those tools available to promote the products. And that's also what I mentioned before about the payment service, the foreign exchange service. All those things are very well organized and regulated in China. But it means working with it, you must know how it works. And if you know how it works, then everything goes smoothly. Well, that is something we also have. So it's the whole package. In fact, in 5 steps, we say what we try to do. First of all, we try to solve the problem for the high barriers of the entry of goods. I can imagine, because I know that also from the suppliers from Europe, for example, that it's difficult if you don't know how the market works, how to get the goods in, what steps you need to take. Therefore, we help. That is the way how we can support also from Oregon the products that needs to come in, to find the right ways. The second, it saves a lot of time in this way, if you know the right way. So I come back to the words in the beginning, you need to know how you organize it and with whom you organize it. Those are the 2 very important things. 3, we can provide a set of cross-border tools for the brands to go to the consumers. I mentioned them before. This way, we can increase the sales on the channels for the goods. And yeah, in the end, we should create a win-win situation for all in this cross-border ecosystem, as we call it. I want to give you an overview of the Changzhou bonded warehouse, cross-border warehouse. Just to give you an idea, this is our warehouse where we put the goods from foreign countries. And inside the warehouse is a place where the custom immediately checks the goods before going out. So in fact, the goods come in the country, stay in the country, and go out, and all it happens in the same building. You can see it with the machine in the left picture, where the goods go through, and from the moment they went through and agreed by the customs, they are in China, in fact. This is just a small example of how we operate, how we store our goods. You also can see how we put the goods there, how they are treated, and in the close cooperation with China customs, because that is very necessary for, of course, for all the products that come in, but especially also for this type of products. And this is an area of 2,700 square meters in Zhangzhou, and we started to use this in April 21. With, of course, the necessary certifications. Based on what I just explained, we see ourselves as the international brand service provider. And we have in mind that this provides a cross-border channel for, well, 1,000 international brands, whatever number it is. But we want to show that it's possible to handle many brands. And I cannot keep on repeating that, but not only large brands, specifically also middle-sized, smaller brands, because there is really a market for in China. To give you an idea, at this moment we have operated 74 international brands. The number is growing, constantly growing. 1,382 SKUs, just to give you an idea about the numbers. We work with cooperating dealers, 31, and we work with distribution channels where the goods go into the market, 64. This is a moment at this moment that number is growing and developing. But I think it's important that you get this number to have an idea about the size of the business, about the development where we are going to. And on the left side, you see a few examples how the goods are promoted. How the goods are promoted on, well, specific internet tools or WeChat mini programs. When you look at this overview, then you can see some more famous brands and also perhaps some brands that are less famous. But that mix is our strength. to be able to do famous brands and to be able to do less famous brands that still need development. This is just an overview, and it represents all kinds of products from several countries all over the world. For this, it's important that there are brand authorization letters. That means a brand has to authorize us to sell the product. A brand sometimes has to be registered in China to be able to sell. All kinds of things around it, just to show that you need to take care of this kind of things also before you can start doing business in China. But that is exactly what we are doing. We're helping with that part to make sure the brand arrives here that also knows what is necessary, what kind of tools, what kind of documents are necessary, the whole process. We try to, in fact, before, we try to promote well-known brands. If you see Illy or if you see Vaseline, well-known brands, but we also try to open the market for new brands. Famous brands that are easy to know the name, but it doesn't mean it's more easy to sell, because famous brands are already everywhere. They're already made famous brands. New brands, not known in China, not yet known in China, they need to be promoted. That is also not easy, but at least there is not the same brand in another place in the market. So you can decide completely about how you want to promote that product in the market. So both has its advantage, disadvantages, but certainly for the unknown brands, a lot of potential here in China. We made this schedule to explain a way how international brands go into the market. When you start in the top, the international brand comes in. It goes to the Hanlik bonded warehouse. And then in fact, it can go two ways. It can go left directly B2C to certain e-commerce platforms, or if you go to the right, it goes B2B or B2B2C to the mainstream e-commerce platforms. And with mainstream e-commerce platforms, we mean like the ones that are mentioned there. Tmall, Douyin or TikTok, JD, WeChat, the famous platforms where others operate their store and where others promote the products. We do the brand operation. That means we promote the products, and we bring it not only to the online platform, which you see in the top, but we also bring it on the right side to the offline platform. And there are also many channels available. And on the left side, and that's we also have our own platform. We also have our own Uline platform where the products are being sold. So it's in fact, if there is a brand, if there is a product, we will see what is the most suitable way to promote it. It can be on the right side to one of the mainstream platforms. It can be left below on the own handling platform, or even offline. That has to be decided per type of product. What is the best way to guide it to? It depends also on the wishes of the supplier. What do they want? And what gives the best opportunities? This is a simple overview, but this shows that from our place, it can be distributed to different places in the market. And this is especially very important because if you are standing in the market, it's like standing in the forest. You see a lot of trees and they all look the same and some look different, but you must have the eye, the expertise for it to know, okay, we must go there or we must go there. So this point of choice is very important. Finding channels for the brands. So finding what is the right tree to find, what is the right place to put the products in. We use there for a few ways. One of the ways, you can see that here on the pictures and especially also on this one, we do brand introduction meetings. We organize meetings where we promote the brand, where we explain the brand, where we explain the products, where we explain the difference between the products, what the advantages of the products. We do that by ourselves with help from people who know about the brand. People who are trained, who have experience to show to others why the brand is suitable, why it should be bought. This is a very important part because it's not just buying a good, selling it, it's also understanding the product. What is it? What is the difference? Why is it good for the one who wants to buy it? So this part, training, introduction, is very important. We spend a lot of time and attention to this part. Also, we spend a lot of time and attention to this part, that is exhibitions. Exhibitions always, at least to my opinion, are very important for doing business, wherever you go. Exhibitions don't lose their value, but exhibitions change. They are focused also more on e-commerce. So what we do is we are active on several exhibitions during the year. And not just in Xiamen, but in Fujian or even outside Fujian. And there we promote the products. There we show the products on a normal exhibition, and there we try to find the people who want to buy it. And now I need to go. This gives you an impression of the exhibition, how we promote it in our own Hanlian booth with the products that we represent. Sure. Please do. Yeah. As you can see on an exhibition, it's just standing in the booth, but it's also like what you see here, people promoting it in special sessions. It's a very active meeting where we show the products, where others show the products, where we explain the products, where other explain the products. So it's a very active way on an exhibition. It's not just standing in the booth and showing the products. It's really communicating with your future channels, buyers. Then to show you another thing is finding channels. You have different ways besides the ones that I mentioned before in showing the products. Here you see it's a different type of products. It's watches and some other jewelry. How we show it in the warehouse, how people can see it in the warehouse. So it's not just a way of storing things, but it's also a way of showing things to the people so that they can see what kind of products are available. All tools to connect to the channels who are interested in buying, in promoting and selling these products. Just a few ideas. And also showing the products in stores. There are also ways on the internet to find products. There are many ways, and I just show here a few pictures just to give you an idea. But there are many ways to show the products on the internet to people who are interested in bringing it into a channel. And these are just a few ways how to show that. We made a summary of many things I just said about how it works when the goods come in. First of all, the choice of the products. There is a distributor who wants to do something, and there is us who is interested in new products, and we have to make a match. And that is two ways. The distributor has to believe in it, the producer has to believe in it, and we have to believe in it, both. We also will select the products because it's very important that if we believe in the good, then we really can stand behind it and promote it. So that moment is very important. Step two, you have to check the license for the import. Is it allowed? What is necessary? What are the requirements for it? Step three, we do a market research. So we go more deeper into the product, into the market. We make a planning of the marketing in step 4, and after that, we confirm the cooperation. So this shows that we first focus on the preparations so that we don't have disappointments that we already could see beforehand. After the confirmation of the cooperation, yeah, it's the transportation of goods. They have to come here. It's the clearance, the warehousing, and the sales on the platform. It sounds logical, I think. It sounds simple, but mainly in step 1, step 3, 4, those parts really have to check very carefully. Is this product suitable for the market? What is necessary to make it a success? And that is something we do together with the supplier. It's not just something we do by ourselves and keep it quiet. We do that together with the supplier. This shows how goods go to the Chinese consumers, and also how the payment system is going. It goes through, in fact, 2 ways. On the right side, you see the mainstream platforms. On the left side, you see the Hanlik platform, and you see how the flows of money go. This is also a very simplified way of showing it. But these steps are very important because in China market, in e-commerce, I think in general in e-commerce, payment discipline is very strict. It's very fast. That is good also for the supplier, so that they can receive their money fast. So this way has an advantage. I mean, you don't work with too long payment terms as you're used to with traditional business. You can shorten it and make it efficient and make it more certain, so that in the end also the supplier knows we will get our money and in time. This next picture is not to show you the prices and the costs, but it's to show you another thing. In fact, the Chinese e-commerce market is suitable for large brands, smaller brands, because larger brands perhaps want to invest more, smaller brands can or don't want to invest more, but there's for everybody a way. If you look at the more traditional mainstream platforms like Tmall, JD, Douyin, or TikTok, you see that it asks quite some investment to bring the products on the market. This gives just an idea. It's not about the numbers. It just gives an idea about the investments necessary to bring products in the market. That's a good way. When you're able to do those investments, it's a safe way, and those are very prominent companies. On the other hand, you see a lot of nones with our platform. That doesn't mean we don't do it, but we don't charge it because we work in a different way. And if you go to the end, in fact, many of our activities are related financially, on the right side, to the sales volume. The earnings, the costs that we will charge are based on that. That makes it also more easy, and that's also why we made this structure for the smaller middle-sized brands to enter the Chinese market. We don't want to make too high levels before you can get into the market and you need to put a lot of money in advance in it. No, that's not what we're asking for. We're asking for a cooperation in making goods available, making knowledge available, help us in understanding the products. We find a way to connect it to the right channels. And that is a different way of operating, but that makes it, to our opinion, more accessible to certain brands that otherwise perhaps cannot come to China. And here in this, then I'm almost at the end of my presentation. Here you also see the steps that needs to be done if you compare the brand, supplier, and us as Hanlik. The brand supplies the goods, they supply the samples, they keep the ownerships of the goods, they do the operational planning together with us. And what we do is the marketing, promotion, and the handling of the rest, and also the after-sale service. So the supplier knows, companies from Oregon know what their task is, and we also know what our task is. That makes it, to our opinion, very clear what everybody does. Well, I I realized there's a lot of things to say about e-commerce in China. Me as a Chinese gave some explanation about e-commerce in China. I found that already quite a challenge, but I dared to do it because I live here now for 5 years and I do e-commerce business here, and I work together in a very good way with my friend Mark in the business. And I think this is also an example of, to our opinion, how business can work good. You should not just hand over goods or say good luck with sales. No, it's a cooperation of two sides. We do that here in China in this way, but we think similar ways are possible with suppliers, with people from your side in the US. And I hope this gives some basic idea. We are very much willing to give you more information about it on another moment, because there's much more to say about it. But I hope this gave a first impression. And I also would like to say on my behalf that we are very happy that you gave us this opportunity to share this information with you. And we hope that this might lead to even more business than already the business is between Oregon and China, and also specifically the Fujian province. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Renee. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good introductory. Before I move in with some of the questions I have from some of the companies that sent it to me over this past few weeks, I want to see if there's any question from panelists or the audience here. Okay, are we all good? So, okay, my question is, well, I'm just reading through some of the questions I received. The first, Renee, would you please give more specific, share some of your experience on working on, for example, your case study, sort of success stories, let's say on wine products, because recently I've been seeing you guys focus a lot of activities on the wine products from Spain and Europe. And I think our Oregon products share a certain level of similarity with the European products. So it would be pretty good to hear from you and how basically, you know, as a wine exporter or the producer, or even another product like cheese, some of the agriculture product, that what kind of first step I'm facing, and what are the more details, you know, to how to work with you guys.
I can mention a few examples, but I can start with one that was mentioned already before by somebody else in the presentation. We have a cooperation with a supplier and a producer of biscuits from the Netherlands. And that company exists already for 160 years. And they deliver goods to many places in the world, also the US. And in China, not that much. They wanted to expand their business. The first step that we did is, and that is now around 2.5 years ago, is to be very clear about what we can expect from each other in the Chinese market. So what are the products you want to promote? What do you as a supplier expect to reach in China? And on the other side, we will also say what is possible to our opinion in the Chinese market. To create some basis of understanding, manage the expectations, know about prices. Prices is also a very basic element, but it's a very important element in every part of the market, but especially in China. You have to deliver products of good quality for a good price. All those items like price, like quality, where in the Chinese market are we going to start? Are we going to do, which channels are we going to use? All those things, you have to discuss them first. But I must say it has been, in this example, more like an education from our side also to the supplier. And that's what we are here for also, so that they understand how the market works here. Once that basis is set, we started looking for channels in China. for long-term channels. And that can be different ways. That can be offline, online. And it's correct what was mentioned by the other speaker before, that we were able to sell quite a large number of biscuits in a relatively short period of time into the Chinese market. But it is only because there is very good preparation of the basic understanding. And from there, build up step by step. Don't have high expectations suddenly that booming very fast. And if we mention 8 containers, it's a lot, but even with 1, it's already a very good step. Or even with less, it's already a good step. But build up the position step by step. That is also about managing the expectations. Don't expect that the world will suddenly disappear, change by going into the Chinese market and grow very fast. You need to do the things step by step. And every time check again, which way are we going to? That is an example for biscuits. That is also the same example for cheese. Those are 2 food products, agricultural products also. And even despite of price challenges in the market because of the price race in Europe, we still managed to find good ways in the Chinese market to bring the products there. But it's mainly about managing expectations, agreeing about fundamentals that is important, like price, like where are we going to start.
Thank you. Thank you. Sharon, I see your hand, please. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just saw that your goal is actually just like bringing more like new brands, like up to 1,000 international brands to your platform. China retail market. What is your marketing, or how to reach out those the brands like in overseas, especially in the States or Europe? How do you reach out?
How do we, sorry, can you explain that a little? How do we reach out?
Like, what is how do you kind of reach out those brands? If you have any brands, like you're interested in bringing your platform. So what is like a tool? What is like how to do the sales, in your part, in your end?
Is it? I also would like to give some words to Pami, but we have to translate it.
为什么帮助出来？我们刚刚 PPT 里面有展示，就是我们会通过我们的就是第二个帮平台。
I mean, like
See, the tools about, perhaps I can say a few things about it. There are 2 ways, finding the right product and finding the right channels to sell the products and make people here interested in selling the product, in buying the product.
I mean, like it's finding the products. So, okay, let's say like this is really the great opportunity for you guys to kind of, to talk with the governments, really, governments, like, especially the states in Oregon State, so that I can kind of educate it and trained, and then I can kind of spread the words about your company, and then, to our small and medium sized, the companies, and we can kind of test it out. But it's like, I wonder, it's like, because our goal is 1,000 international brands. Like, I noticed you want to find the good products, and but what's the what's the
Sure.
what's the way?
Yeah, there were corrections here. So I think they were trying to show they already had about the 1,000 is a big number, but they have many brands working with them.
Right, but it's just wondering how they do the same.
Yeah, I can say something about it. The 1,000 is a number, and it looks a lot, but to our opinion, it's okay. It's not that huge number, at least not for the Chinese market. But it sets a goal. So it's not exactly about the number. It sets a goal in which direction we're going. It's not that we are looking for, let's say, a small number of companies that we represent, a small number of brands. No, we want to spread over the market, because if we are able to deliver a lot of brands, many brands can go to the same channel. So if one brand is not interesting for the channel, perhaps another brand is. So in this way, brands can help each other to go into the market. And the way how we are trying to find always brands, this is a great opportunity. You mentioned already, this is a great opportunity to show what we can do. But we also search through our own channels for brands that we see, that we know, or through other contacts in other countries that we do. Like in the European market, we have our own sources, our own people who can find brands. That's the way how we find it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the
I hope this
question.
answers your question. I hope this answers your question.
Actually answer that question. And then I have another one. It's like we all like the brands, like the brands they are really worried about their intellectual properties, the trademark. All
Yeah.
those are very especially in China, they are very concerned about the what is it? The property, I mean, intellectual property,
I know.
the protection.
Yeah.
So do you have anything related to that?
Yeah, I can say something about it. I must say that there has been a lot of positive developments over the years in the protection of brands, other intellectual property rights. What you see, for example, when it's about brands, you really need to have a brand registration here in China before you can sell a product. That is a requirement of many platforms even before you can sell, because the platforms, the channels want to be sure that you are the rightful owner of a certain brand. And the system of registration here in China, to my experience, because we have to deal a lot with those things, has improved a lot in a way that it gives security to companies once you have registered your brands. I mentioned the cheese, I mentioned the biscuits, I mentioned healthy products, children's products. It's all about brand registration. When you have other intellectual property rights that need to be registered, I think the Chinese government is very much aware of the importance of the protection of those rights.
Okay.
And I know there have been concerns, there are concerns with certain companies, but to my opinion, those concerns are not necessary once you're able to find the right way to protect your rights here in China. And the system of protection here in China is quite well organized these days. So I think this is also, I recognize what you're saying, but over the years, many things have changed here because everybody here realizes we have to arrange that, otherwise it's not possible to do business.
Okay, last question, sorry. So, okay, I noticed this platform, it's really sounds great compared to the big, platform is just very reasonable and then kind of affordable, I think. But it's still like our small, you are working with very small companies, like some companies that has only 1 or 2 employees and then they kind of manufacture in different country as well. But they just want to kind of test out their, their sales through your platform. So is there any kind of the testing period or testing like an assessment of the sales, period? I mean, can you offer that kind of,
Yeah, I understand. That's a good question of you. The testing can be done in several ways. One of the ways is that we receive samples of the products that you make, and that we try to introduce them in several channels to see what the response is. In fact, that is part of our market research, to find out, not only looking at numbers and sales numbers, but also trying to find out this specific product, are people interested in this product? And so in fact, with samples, we already can try to find out if people are interested with information about the product, with information about the brand. Here, what I noticed is people are interested in the product, but they're also interested in the brand. Is there a history in the brand? How long do they exist?
Hmm.
Where do they deliver their goods to? That also is very important for being able to sell the products here in China. So we do that testing, we offer that testing in this way. This is in fact the most simple way to test it without too many investments on both sides.
Okay, that's great.
So just one thing, if I show pictures of the exhibitions, that's one place where we also introduce new products that we see this is new and we test the market if it's interesting.
Isn't that kind of exhibition is kind of trade shows?
Yeah, there are several trade shows, especially also for e-commerce. Recently, we have been joining one 2 weeks ago in Xiamen, but there are many exhibitions focused purely on e-commerce, only
Okay.
on e-commerce.
So you can display exhibit like a lot of multiple brands on your.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
In
yeah.
those? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's in fact a normal exhibition for the traditional business, but the customers who come to look there are different. They're e-commerce companies. They're looking for e-commerce products. They look with a different way to the products.
So those like you mentioned about also like you do those kind of show the products and then marketing, those through the exhibition too. But do you kind of charge those marketing fee to the companies, certain brands? How do you do that?
That depends a little bit. It can see if a company says we just want to try and we want to have a product with samples shown on a place and we test it in different channels. That's a very simple way that can be done without too much costs.
Okay.
If a company says, yeah, but we want to do a more thorough market research before we enter, because we want to invest more in the future, yeah, then it's possible to do a more thorough program than just trying the sample. It depends really on the cooperation with the factory or the brand owner.
And then like one last question.
Okay.
So let's see, like we are Oregon, right? This is the Oregon only, the state of Oregon. So I wanted we have many small, medium-sized, many companies interested in the Chinese market, e-commerce market. So what if we like I just state, we definitely want to support those companies, to export their products to the China, and then through the Hanlik. So can you kind of do some kind of the Oregon brands, like the platform or whatever that store in your the
Integrated brand, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I think that is a very good thought, because Oregon, for the people know, have a certain reputation about certain types of products, and it can help when it's done under the flag of Oregon, instead of just the small company itself. We do that also, for example, with Dutch products. Then we promote it as Dutch products, but not just as the specific supplier, because people know Holland, people know the US, they know Oregon, but they don't know that specific product. So if it's possible to create such a flag around, that could work very good. Absolutely.
Yeah, because especially the Fujian is our sister state. So we have that kind of already built in the relationship, so we can leverage that, the sister state relationship.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, we have a pretty
Very good
full discussion. Sorry, we already passed some times here. But I think that really mean that we need follow-up meetings. So really, I think that the whole training went pretty well. We meet the goals, and we are very excited to work with ODA, work with Business Oregon, our Hanlik, and our counterparts in China to further promote this great training, and hopefully we can get Oregon brands to have a better understanding about the Chinese market, and then start to building the stepping stone with you guys. Really appreciate. I think this is really successful event. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
Appreciate very
you.
much.
谢谢王局。哎，谢谢拜拜。
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Happy
Bye-bye.